Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Don't Wait Till Pigs Fly. Today, we're going to be doing something a little bit different than what we normally do. And we're going to be having a conversation between you and me without a guest, because this world is a crazy place right now, and everybody's busy doing other things and trying to figure out how they're going to survive the COVID-19 over the next few weeks. And so I wanted to just take a few minutes to talk to you all about how we can deal with things while this is all going on. For me, particularly, I've been dealing with changes and ups and downs and all of that for a long, long time. So this is nothing really new for me. And I'm not really too worried about the virus itself. I'm worried about how we're going to live during this time and why we've become so frantic and panicked over the last couple of weeks, um, and what that means for us and for our businesses. As you know, for many of us, businesses stopped. Restaurants and bars and taverns and casinos and all of these places where people go to gather and to be together and to share in human interaction have been closed until further notice, because we can't be anywhere near each other. Even churches have stopped holding services, and they're doing them online because we can't all be in the same room together. It's so, if you are in one of those kinds of businesses where you rely on people coming in or buying something from you that is not something long-term production, but it needs an employee, it needs somebody looking over it and hands-on work on it, you may be concerned. You may be concerned because the end user may not have a job and isn't going to have money, and they're not going to be interested in purchasing what it is you have to sell. A lot of that is something that we're all focused on right now. And first and foremost, you've heard me talk in the past about things like being prepared for the things that we don't expect. This is a good time. We can't look back. We can't say, I should have done that. But we can start right now moving forward and looking at things that we can do differently in our businesses. And that's figuring out, for one, figuring out how, if you have a downturn in sales in the future, how are you going to deal with that? You always need to have a financial plan. You need to be not only putting money back into your business, but you need to be paying you a paycheck, whether it's $5 a week or if it's $500 a week. You need to be giving yourself an income, and you need to be putting some of it away for future needs. That way, if something happens in the future, you have some wiggle room to cover yourself for a couple of weeks. There are also supposed to be some emergency resources that are going to be put into place by the government. And now's the time to actually do some research and figure out what those resources are going to be and how you can be a part of that. At the same time, now is a really good time to work on the things that we put aside and don't do regularly. And that's paperwork. That's reaching out to people we've worked with in the past or people that have shown an interest in things that we've been doing. And to connect with people and to share with them and to let them know that you're there to support them if you can in any way, and that you want to know that there are those out there not only that you can support but that can support you. You know, let people see the humanity in each of us instead of the self-sufficiency that we've all been showing over the past few years. Let's not be salesy. Let's be relationship wise and show that we're concerned about each other and about our lives. Those are good things. If this is a time when you have been forced to stay home and work from home, even though your normal work conditions are in an office, that can be rough. Any sort of a change in habit or in motivation in our daily what we do can be difficult in the beginning. And this is probably one of those times. When I first started out in business, and for 30 some years of my being in business, I had an office. I would get up every morning, I'd get a shower, I'd get dressed, I'd get in my car, and I'd drive to my office. I would get to my office and I would greet people coming and going in the elevator. I'd usually stop for a cup of coffee. There was all this interaction going on. People parking in the parking lot that we'd, hey, how you doing? Hope you're going to have a great day today. People going up in the elevators together. You know, what's on your schedule for today? Do you have a light day? Is it going to be a busy day? Getting into the office, there are other employees, there are people that, you know, what'd you do last night? Did you have a good evening? Hey, did you hear on the news? You know, there's this communication and camaraderie and knowing that you're a part of something bigger that gives you the feeling that you're not alone. And then you can sit down to work. But if you're stuck on something and you can't figure it out, you can call out to somebody else in the office and say, hey, does anybody have any idea on what to do or how to do this? And you can get feedback. You can get other people chiming in to help you, or you can help them. And there's just an energy and an ability to be together with others that you don't have when you're working from home. I am one of these people that has always said I am going to always be an office-based business. I cannot and hate trying to work from home. It does not work for me. Well, unfortunately, or fortunately, for the past 6 years, it has worked for me because I have not been able to go out to an office. And I've spent hours and hours and hours of working by myself with only my cats as office mates. And in the beginning, it was really, really hard. I could not settle down. I had all this anxious energy, and I would wander from room to room, and I'd go, well, I really need to do something, but I just can't do it. And eventually, I finally got to the point where I said, work's got to be done. I've got to do this, and I got to figure out how to do it. I am lucky in that I have an extra room in the house that I have turned into my office. It is my office. The only time I go in there and use that room is if I'm using it for office work. That is my business address. I get up when I could. I would get up. I would do exactly the same thing that I would do when I was actually going out to a business location. I would get up. I would get dressed. I would go into the office and I'd say, I'm here. I'm working. I'm not going to turn on the television. I'm not going to worry about the dishes or the laundry or any of that. I'm here to work. Now, I said a couple of things in that are really important. And this is for me, but I think this pertains to a lot of people from an energetic and from a mental standpoint of putting yourself into the situation of work as opposed to being home. I get dressed. Even to this day, while I can't even get into my office anymore, I'm sitting on the couch in the living room to work. If I'm going to work that day, I get dressed. I do not do it from my pajamas because it gives me an entirely different feeling and different emotion if I'm sitting there in pajamas all day long. That's a relaxation day. That's not a work day. And if I am going to be professional and get something done, I have to feel professional. So I get dressed. I go into the office and I say, this is my work. This is my time for work. I will be doing this from this time until this time. Don't anybody bother me. We'll talk, we'll do whatever afterwards. I turn off the phone. I turn off the ringers. I turn on music because music allows me to focus in actually on what I'm doing and gives me more of a sense of being in the mood for work. I always had music playing when I was in my real office. And so this allows me to continue that sense of being in business and being professional. I create an environment where I have a desk, where I have pens and paper and everything that I need. I have filing cabinets and I put papers away in the filing cabinets so that I can find them if I need them. I don't just dump things. Um, I create a schedule. I have a whiteboard on the wall in my office that has my schedule on it that says from this time until this time, you're answering emails. From here until here, you're doing podcasts. I literally create the calendar of events like I did when I was going to an office every day. I am trying to mentally reproduce for myself the sense and feeling of being at my business. And that allows me to do it here, even though I'm not physically out in the world doing it. For me, it's a little different because I can't get out into the world, as many of you know. But I think it's very important that we do have interaction with people and that we don't isolate ourselves completely. Although in this particular situation we're in with COVID-19, we really are isolated. So, what do? We've got Zoom, we've got Skype, we've got Facebook. We do have the ability to continue to interact with other people. I think now is a perfect time to find out about a mastermind group. What's a mastermind group? A mastermind group is a place where you share your thoughts and your ideas on your business with other people who share their thoughts and ideas. And it's an advisory board. It's a situation where you're not all alone, but that you do have that, like I was talking about earlier. Hey, I don't know how to do this. Does anybody here know what to do? It gives you that sense so that you're not all alone and all by yourself. You still have that human interaction that is so important. Give yourself time for breaks. You take breaks when you were at the office, I'm sure. So, you're done with a project. Take a 15-minute break. Get up and walk out of the space that you were at, where you were working, and sit in the living room and watch 15 minutes of television, or go outside if it's a nice day and sit in the sunshine. Even if we can't be with people, we can go for a walk in the fresh air, if you can do that. You know, take breaks. But what I highly recommend you do not do is do a load of laundry, do the dishes, do the home work, the work of managing your home during the business day. That takes your mind so totally out of the framework of work that it's going to be hard to get you back into it again. Now, if you've got kids, put them to work. Give them jobs to do that are going to help you. Pay them for it. Hey, Susie, I need all of this filing done. And if she's old enough to understand what filing is and can do it, if you do all of this filing for you, I'll give you $5. Great. Gives them something to do. They're excited because they're helping mom or dad, and it keeps you working, and it keeps the energy in the home going. Um, if they're too young for doing something like that, find educational television. Find books that they can read or look at. Give them tools, children's toys and educational things that they can use that's going to keep them busy for a while. Put them, if they don't get along well, put them in separate spaces. If they do get along well and one can kind of watch out for the other ones, then let them be together. But explain to them, mommy or daddy has to work. This is just as though I have gone to the office, but I'm doing it from here. Now, we will do something together this evening after we're done work, but you got to let me do the work now. It's not a lot of brain surgery. If you have something like Alexa or Google Home, you can create training for the kids, education for the kids, storytelling for the kids on those two products. Um, You can play music for them. They can actually become almost something of a babysitter for you. And you can also set timers. So if you want to be able to stop every half hour and take a 5-minute break, you create alarms that will go off and say, this is an alarm, or I'm reminding you, or, it's time to do this or whatever. And that gives you the ability to concentrate on what you're doing, yet come out of it and move on to the next thing relatively easily because you've had those alarms set for you. I would turn my emails off. I would turn my phone ringers off, and I would work for those times. And then take a couple of minutes and check emails or see if somebody's called. Unless you're expecting a really, really, really important phone call with $1 million contract or something like that, most telephone calls can wait. They can leave a voicemail message and you can call them back. You can put a message on your phone saying, during this time, I am working from home. I am not going to be answering my phone on a regular basis. So please leave a message and know that I will be getting back with you within the next, couple of hours or within the next 24 hours or whatever, but give a message saying, just please be patient. We're all dealing with this crisis the best that we can, and that we will get back to normal as soon as possible. But if we can all work together on this, things will go much more smoothly for everyone. Also, if you have been thinking about changing what you're doing and had decided or was thinking about, I want to start my own business. This is, I'm not happy going to work anymore. I really do want to work from home. I really do want to be my own boss. Now is an excellent time for thinking about that because it's giving you an idea of what life is going to be like should you decide to make this a permanent change. But at the same time, it's also a really good time to decide if you're thinking about going out on your own and being your own business, what is it that you really want to do? So often I see posts on Facebook from people that say, hi, I want to start my own business. Everybody tell me what it is you do. Somebody give me a suggestion of what I should do. That is absolutely the wrong way to go about this. What you need to do is figure out, number one, what are you passionate about? What do you really enjoy doing that you could spend hours and hours and hours doing without getting frustrated and fed up with it? What are your hobbies? If you were given an entire day to spend on Facebook, what groups would you be jumping into and reading about and answering questions on? What kind of books do you read? What do you watch on television? These are the kinds of things that you need to know before you even begin to think about being in business for yourself. Then the next thing you need to know is, do you see yourself doing it 5 years from now? And you need to think about the pros and the cons. If I were to do this, this would be. If I were to do this, I would not be able to figure out different things that would be helpful and different things that might cause you problems in the beginning. Are you going to have support? Is there financial backing? Because if you expect to say, I'm in business, and the very first week start to make money, you're very, very wrong. How much money do you need to have in a bank account to live on in case another epidemic like this happens? Or if, heaven forbid, your house burns down, or there's an earthquake, or something happens that keeps you from making money for a while. You have to support yourself somehow. Is there a second job in the family? Could you live on just that one job alone? If you could, that's great. And I'd say go for it. If things were going to be a little tight, I'd say, how could you start out doing something part time? But again, you need to figure out scheduling, timing. If you start a business part time while you're still working full time, are you going to have the hours? Are you going to have the energy? Are you going to have the stamina to do both your job, your business, and deal with your family? These are all things that right now, while you're sitting at home, are important pieces of the story that need to be thought about before you actually jump into something. Sure, we're dealing with the possibility of people being sick, of running out of food and all of these things. But in reality, I think right now is actually an excellent time to be doing this because you're stuck at home anyway. So rather than just sit back, turn on the TV, and surf the television shows that are out there, put your brain to work. Put your mind to figuring out what it is you want to do and if you can do it or not. I have a very special tool that I use with people that are trying to figure out what it is they want to do, and it's called the flight plan. And right now, I am offering the flight plan for half price. And what it is, it's a workbook that goes through all the questions of what are your passions, what are the things you hate to do, the things you love to do, how could you do it, how do you see yourself in 5 years, what kind of money do you need to have. All the things that we've been discussing are asked in this workbook, and we talk about different things to do and how to do them. Then once you have answered all of those questions, you'll now get together on Zoom and we'll talk about them, and I'll help you pick out the things that make sense, that maybe we're a little optimistic, we're maybe not giving yourself enough credit, all of those kinds of things. And by the end of our hour together on this Zoom call, you're going to have a much better sense of how to go about moving forward. Use this time well. Don't just sit back and allow the panic to take hold and climb the walls. Instead, think, put your thoughts to pen and paper and figure out how you want to move forward. Once this epidemic's over and we can all get out into the world again, how are you going to do that? Are you going to just go back to doing the exact same thing you were doing before? Or are you going to re-enter the world with a new, energized outlook and sense of being and the ability to create a new and better life for yourself? In the meantime, guys, I hope that even though you're home, I hope you're home safe and sound. I hope that you are able to take some of this information and put it to good use, and that you can be productive. Do things that you've been putting off, clean the house, whatever. Do things that have needed to be done that you just haven't had time for. So be productive, get out there, and soar higher. And we will talk again soon. If you like what you've heard today, let me know. Share it. Follow us. Tell other people about us. Let me have some ideas of things you'd like to hear from in the future, and the kinds of conversations you'd like us to have in the future. And I really look forward to getting back out there and going again and having a very productive, safe, and happy life. Until we talk again next time, take care, y'all. Bye-bye.